All right. Good evening. It's 7 p.m. I'm going to call this meeting to order. First, I'm going to ask the solicitor to anyone who intends to speak this evening, any attendee who intends to speak, we're going to ask that the solicitor swears you in.
So just raise your right hand if you would, please. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you give this evening will be truthful?
Do.
Thank you.
Okay, first order of business. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Are you ready for roll call?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Mike Malloy.
Here.
Lindsay Self.
Here.
John Buda.
Here.
Martin O'Toole.
Here.
Rita Chaja.
Here.
Thank you.
Sure.
First order of business is to approve the minutes from the September 18th meeting. Members of the board, have you had a chance to review and any questions? Nope. Okay, with that, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as they are written.
I second them.
Mike Malloy.
Yes.
Lindsay Self.
Abstain?
John Buda.
Yes.
Martin O'Toole.
Yes.
Rita Chaja.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this evening is one of our lengthiest agendas that my memory. We have three cases to review this evening. First being BZA case 24-07. The applicant and owner of the property located at 124 Fairview Road is seeking approval for a side yard setback area variance of 5 feet. As applicant shows the garage addition to be 5 feet from the north property line, and per the 1947 South Russell Village Zoning Code, Section 7, the minimum side yard setback must be 10 feet. Is Mrs. Woodbury here?
Yes.
Okay. We've got your plan here, and I just wanted to, offer you the opportunity to kind of explain the project and the explanation of why you're asking for this variance.
Thank you for the opportunity. Colleen Woodbury. First, I want to thank you all for coming out on such a beautiful evening to listen to my variance request. But I do appreciate your time. I'm a retired nurse. I just retired this year and moved to Ohio in June to be near my grandkids and eliminate the childcare costs that my daughter and her husband were going broke from. So I found a little small neglected 3-bedroom ranch that was only 3 miles from her house. So even though it needed a lot of work, I thought this is probably my best shot because very few things will come up, And I thought my goal would be to upgrade it, repair many things, but also get it up to code, change the knot and tube wiring, get everything really improved as one of my goals. And then the other would be to add a 2-car attached garage, which I definitely need. I've got some medical issues that make me prone to falling. So the Ohio winters and the ice and snow are kind of a safety hazard for me. So they did have an original garage in the back you might have seen on the drawing. And, I'm very into recycling, so I hated to not make a winner out of that and put money into it, but it was just beyond being able to be rebuilt. Of course, it wasn't up to code, which wasn't surprising, but it was kind of far from the house, so it would have been hard to even make a good path that would be safe, even if I couldn't attach it. And, heaving concrete, the foundation was leaning way out. The roof was well beyond its years and all the doors were rotted. I mean, it just was not going to be a smart investment, right? So I proceeded to sketch out a lot of options, enlisted some professional help, architects, contractors, anybody who would listen to me. I'd try to show them, what do you think, and give me ideas, friends, families, neighbors, etc. And the one goal I definitely didn't want to do was limit the future homeowner from being able to add on, because it is a small house. And so it's harder to add on upstairs, right? You might have to add on to the back. So I didn't really want to block my backyard, not only because because we can't see your garden or your backwoods or any of that nice sanctuary feeling you get from your yard. But also be blocking those options per se for the new homeowner someday or curtailing their alternatives, right? So anyway, worked on it, and the best solution we came up with was what Ann has drawn. Now, when I realized that, we're really gonna need a 5 for variance, I thought, what else could we do to tweak it, and then you wouldn't have to be here tonight with you, but, we just couldn't figure out a way that we could get a 2-car garage in there. I mean, the reason I really wanted 2 cars is because it's such a better investment for a future family or even for myself. I could use the storage space, and not over 75% of the houses in my neighborhood I ran around and counted are having 2-car garages. So there were very few that had 1.5, or 1-car garages. So we thought, well, how about if I move it closer to the house, get a newer garage, I can still have storage, and I'll just give up the attached part, and maybe that would help me not need a variance. Oh no, I was surprised to learn that you need 20 feet setback from the side lot line if it's detached. So then you're really encroaching into the backyard. And also, since it's only 36 feet wide, my house, all you have to do is go back 15 feet and you're losing half of your whole yard from the house, the view, So I even asked my neighbors to the north because that's their lot line with me, and I thought, I showed them the plans. They're very sharp people, really savvy and creative, and really wonderful people. And we had already become friends, so I said, hey guys, look at this plan. What do you think? Is there something I'm missing? Could we do something else? And they came up with doing a side-facing garage that would go all the way to the south lot line. And that I did consider in one of my other earlier ideas, but I would still need a 2-foot variance because that south lot line is 8 feet from my house. So that was already built, the way it was. I don't know if the rules were any different, but you probably got a variance. They probably did in 54 to build a house. And then I'd need a lot of concrete to go around to get into that side-facing garage that would be all the way on the south side. But what's good about moving it all the way to the south is at least my living area, I'd have one window that would look out to the backyard. The problem is I'd be looking northeast, and when I do so, I'd be looking at the southeast corner of my neighbor's yard, and that's one of the pictures I closed in the packet because it shows 3 trailers that they have parked there as well as their 3rd vehicle. They have like a rear-facing garage, so they come all the way around, and this would be the view I would get looking kind of back and slightly to the left. And if I look straight, I just see the very front of the garage and a little bit of my yard, right? So then the other problem with that is that if I tried to get a patio or a deck of some sort, it couldn't be beyond the garage, it'd have to be between the garage and the house. It's just, I'd be looking north into the side of their garage, is my view. So, I mean, I don't really mind that they park those things there, it's their prerogative to do so. I just don't want my only backyard view to be that view so much, So, in this, with the great plan that Ann came up with, I thought, well, let's stick with that plan, okay? We won't detach it because we'd have to go further over, and let's just maybe leave the side porch off because the side porch is requiring those steps that come down, and maybe I could still get in, with 2 cars. But oh no, by the time you do that, I would have to go around the front steps because there's quite a few front steps, and then swing over close to the house and maybe scrape my side view mirror on the chimney, to get into that one bay. So we're really restricted because of this great issue, which I'm sure you read that already. So you already know that I got that challenge, and it's a design challenge and a construction challenge. So we're very much handicapped in a way. It's a hardship of sorts because of the limited options that we have. The other thing I wanted to say is one good thing about our situation is that the 2 driveways are together. So I don't feel that by moving over, I'm not getting closer to their living area or anything. Their garage is actually right adjacent to my house. So here my garage is going further back, and as you can see, it's adjacent to their big turnaround driveway area that allows them to turn all the way down and go into their rear-facing garage. So I don't feel like it's like sometimes there'd be 2-story houses, maybe they're kind of close, and you're thinking, that's not even their garage or their driveway, that is a living area. So this is not that, so I was hoping that that would also be a little bit of a plus, you know? Let me think. Aside from that, I think I've pretty much touched on everything that the points that I wanted to make. I did invest quite a bit in this home already because I have finished that renovation phase. But I really feel like it's a safe investment. It's a great neighborhood, the area is solid, it's lovely, and the neighbors are wonderful. And I'm so confident that I'm willing to even put more money into this garage. So I just really appreciate your kind consideration of my specific circumstances.
I'd like to add a little bit to that. There's about a 4-foot grade change between the existing driveway and the first floor of the house. So we have to make up steps in each case to do that. And it's a good sized garage compared to the house. And that's another concern we have. But what I've done is I've taken the gutter board of the house and just carried it right around the garage and everything. So the gutter board, the roof, everything's the same pitch. But then you just drop down to get the height in the garage. So the driveway is lower, so we just meet the lower driveway, but we keep the top of the house at that level.
So you don't have that
it stays-
discrepancy.
Yeah, it stays really as residential as you can with the big garage.
Can I ask a question? I'm a little confused. Just because you're saying that you need the accessibility to get in, and I agree, that's those steps in the front are difficult to get in. So how are you planning on getting in from your garage? Are you going to go through that back door that's over towards the far side, which would be your patio, or?
We've done a whole new little mudroom between that has, you come out of the mudroom, you have a side entry to the driveway, where you go down and new steps into the garage.
Okay,
And then we connect that other door with the deck.
okay,
So that's really not strong.
that's fine.
So it's represented on this blueprint. You would come out of the mudroom and you would go down the stairs into the garage,
But you're
correct?
right, Cindy, in the respect that I do have steps no matter what I do.
Yes.
Which was part of the reluctance I had about taking this house because of my issues, but I thought, even the laundry's in the basement. I couldn't fit a laundry room in this mudroom. It was getting too expensive. So I thought, if I have to, I'll get a little chairlift or something to the basement. And I should be able to manage those few steps. If you notice, it's hard to say, but the front steps should be even more numerous than the ones that are from the garage. So I'm hoping to save a couple at least,
Okay.
The thing that we're able to do by putting new steps in is we're able to make them not so tall and make them wider.
Okay.
It's easier to go up and down. The back door that she has now, you come out of the kitchen, you drop down the steps, and you drop up and out of the door, so that's totally
It's a
unsafe.
hazard.
That's why I was kind of curious, because I hadn't seen
When
it.
I put the deck in, I can bring the deck up to within 2 inches of that door, so it's really, at least at the door from the patio into the living, you have a wheelchair entrance if you want.
Okay, that's for in the future.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
right.
Once I'm in the house, it'll be all that one level and I can enjoy that outside deck area as well as the mudroom without any more steps.
Okay.
Great.
Are
Thank
there
you.
any neighbors present?
I didn't see any.
Did we get any response from any neighbors, Ruth?
No.
Yeah, that was a good question. So that was a question of mine. So you presented this plan or something similar to the neighbor to the north at 128.
Exactly.
They proposed the modification where that relocated the garage to the far south border of your property, which would require you basically a driveway behind your house to pull back behind.
All the way, right. Mhm. And I would not have any view out of anything but where it says 8 feet there on that far north side, that would be that view I showed you.
But you made this application and Ruth, they were notified, correct, and did not respond or?
No response.
One of the handicaps here is even with what we have, as you drive in the driveway, we have 31 inches from the house to the property line. I have to stay 5 feet off the property line, have to have another 2 feet from the garage to the corner line, I got 16 feet. So I am just getting by the stairs to get into that 16-foot
Right.
door.
So this allows it for a straighter, when you're coming out of the driveway.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, you can see where you have to drive right near the stairway if you really want to get into that first bay.
Yes.
But it's doable, right? maybe I'll end up using the other one possibly, maybe just store some things at least for now. I don't know. But I did mention to Malloy that I told the neighbors when I was showing them, I said, you guys are gonna get something in the mail and you're free to come to the meeting and voice any concerns you have. And they didn't ask when it was, but they did get their notice, I'm sure, and they knew it was coming up. And they didn't sound like they were objecting, but they said, well, let's see about if there's something other way. And we said, either way, you're gonna be at a garage, because I'm looking at theirs as well. And they were looking at my other one that was kind of falling down also, but it was a little further back, you know. So, yeah.
Can I ask a question, please? And I think, Dave, maybe this is a question for you. If there's a constraint here that the neighbor's property has things in it that a citizen might not want in their field of view, is there any reason to think that what that neighbor's property is, how that's being maintained or used, is that not in code? And so that's the reason it's creating an eyesore problem? Or based on this community, what they're storing there is just flat out okay?
No complaints.
I didn't mean to say complaint. I mean as a matter of ordinances. Like I know in Kensington Green, it's because of our HOA, you could never get away with that stuff.
Yeah.
And so my question is there just, common ordinances for a neighborhood like this in terms of what you can or cannot store in public view permanently or semi-permanently on your lot?
Well, it just goes to, like I said, the complaints. The council and the building committee wants the building department to act on complaints. So they don't want me or anybody else driving around just looking for stuff, unless it's obvious and somebody complains. That's the way they leave it.
Got it. Okay, so there've been no complaints, so it's not been acted on.
Yeah,
If there were complaints, would that be something that one might act on?
yes,
This is not code, so it's behind the front building line.
Right.
Okay. So this is okay anyway.
yeah.
As long as it's behind the front building.
So it's okay.
Storage of recreational vehicles and things like that, properly stored.
And to clarify, where is that,
Taken from?
no, what property is that located at?
Oh, that's right next door, that 128,
Yes.
Fairview.
That's their
It's
backyard?
taken from my property, looking south, or I'm looking northeast, but it's their southeast corner.
But those are
The
their,
paving is just about where the new garage is going to be.
Right there, that driveway area.
Mhm.
And, something else, oh, and they do have a double lot, so they've got a lot of space, but this side is their garage and their driveway. So, I mean, they really could park it elsewhere, but this is the more functional spot for them, to come in and out, so. And I gotta say, when I realized this afterwards, once I see the garage there, it's kind of gonna be giving me more privacy. Right now, my little patio is all the way on that south side there, that little corner where we were gonna maybe put a side facing garage. And so when I'm out there, that is still my view, whereas when I do have the garage, I realize later, I'm gonna be not having to see it as much,
Right.
It's just kind of nice for me, but
Mhm.
I certainly didn't want to do anything that they would object to either. So,
Yeah, so if I can press it just a bit, and I applaud everything you got going on here, and I'm not biasing against it. I'm just wondering, are we considering a variance that's necessary because the neighbor has a piece of property that is not what anybody would like to look at?
This property really is pretty tight as far as the width on it, and to get a garage, thought about putting it back farther. Even if you put it back farther, you're gonna still have to cut back, and we've got a grade problem there that would probably go down about 3 to 4 feet from the floor level down to where the driveway level is, about 13 feet.
So the neighbor's messy yard is not a primary driver?
No.
Okay.
no, it was just one of those things that made it not a great option. But don't forget all that concrete I'd have to put in. I mean, I can't afford that. They have a gravel driveway, which, that's fine. I really wanted something more permanent. The other thing is that, that I wanted attached. So what Ann just said is fine. Maybe you could put it further back, but how am I gonna afford a big connector to get it to my house? We're trying to put it back just far enough that I can make this small little functional connecting mudroom area that allows me to get out to the deck. It allows a direct access from the driveway, which is really actually a plus I wasn't expecting. and a little storage room. I have no front closet or back closet, so there'll be a little area for me to hang coats and put the kids' boots, you know, when they come to visit, stuff like that. And no one has to go up all the steps in the front either, which should be nice.
I'm sorry, Ruth, could you hold up that picture? So where that concrete ends, that was the entry into the previous garage?
Where the mud starts. in the-
Correct.
Yeah,
So
that was the approach, let's say.
you are essentially moving it up how far? The entrance of the garage is essentially moved forward.
About 20 feet probably closer.
So,
You see where the bricks are on the grass? I didn't measure it perfectly, but that's pretty close. Like that one, and then way over there, Ruth, the other one way over. No, straight over on the grass, honey. See that one right by the driveway?
right there.
That one's in the middle, then keep going further over. See it? It's hard to see that one.
Don't see.
Right on the edge of the concrete.
Yeah, Cindy sees it.
Right.
Yeah, okay, so that is the border of the mudroom. It's only 10 feet by 12. So right at that corner, where Cindy just pointed, is that door that comes into the mudroom. So if you look at the plan, you can probably show, well, I don't know if the plan will show it on grass, but you know what I mean?
Mhm. Let's see if the plan can show it.
So basically, the garage comes up, 12 feet from the house, because the 10 by 12 connector is between.
We'd still be needing to make up that driveway elevation to get into the backyard.
Right.
And not just really.
There, you can see it better on that one, you can see where the old garage was, see that one to the left?
Yes.
You can see where the garage is, kind of the beginning of that garage is kind of at the back of mine. So I push the garage forward so that at least I don't have to have a real long connector. Make sense?
Your neighbor to the right looks like they have a one-car garage.
They do, yep, they're one of the few.
So here's where I'm struggling, and maybe you can help me, but, you know, there's a lot of properties in South Russell where you have smaller homes on small lots. And I would imagine everyone in those homes would like to do something to make their home bigger. They would prefer a two-car garage over a one-car garage, right? And so I'm struggling to set a precedent that a variance is necessary when, you know, from what you've explained two alternatives that, while you don't prefer them, are alternatives, right? One is to have a one-car garage, and another would be to have the garage facing south, right? So there are two alternatives that are available.
What would be facing south, but it would be pushed south,
Sure.
facing north.
Yeah, so, you know, those are two alternatives that wouldn't require the variance. And it sounds to me like the reason for the variance really is based on a preference.
Well, we still need a variance, because don't forget the other side of the house is 8 feet from the lot line, so we still need 2 feet variance if we pushed it all the way south.
Sure.
I would not be able to afford it, because all that concrete, there's just no way that's feasible for me.
I think probably the hardship here is the grading, and to get all the grades that you're working with, and to get it into the back, to get it further into the backyard, you're digging that driveway deeper and deeper in that property.
Okay.
And it is a small lot, and I think when we have small lots like this, we have to realize that there are gonna be variances.
Sure.
And it's, you're around, some of the lots are very big and some are very small, and so the smaller ones have a bigger pinch, and it's also gonna mean that person with the one car garage, a smaller lot, is at some point in time, as these houses turn over, they're gonna wanna improve theirs, because
So, and that's my concern, actually. So that is my concern, is that you're right. People are going to want to be improving their lots. And if we've set a precedent that you can have a substantial, I would consider this to be a substantial variance, I think that gets concerning in some of these areas where you have homes so close together.
I think when I've done a lot of work in Chagrin Falls, and I watch buildings getting bigger and bigger and lots getting smaller and smaller. But I think that's something the zoning people, the planning commission, they have to take into account. And there's a real study that you can do as to how to make these homes livable, and realize that there are smaller lots. This whole little area that we're working in right now is really tight. And over the years, I've seen a number of variances given to give some really big houses, and I don't think we're not going to extent on this one.
Sure. And I think you're probably right. I think for us today, it's not, we can't make a decision on whether or not the planning commission should be, or council should be modifying, right? And so that's, right now, this is what the zoning code looks like. And so I'm struggling as we look through the factors that we have to consider. I'm struggling to see the necessity, while I understand completely, I'm struggling a little bit with, even a one-car garage. I mean, I know it's not preferred, but I don't know if anyone else has a
If I may, I get the point completely. Is it okay if we just talk about it for a little bit among ourselves? Right? I get the point totally. I'm also thinking though that the home as it stands today was probably okay for somebody in when was this home built?
54.
I was gonna guess 1950s, right? And so the life of a community member in the 1950s is probably really different than the life of a community member in 2024. And I think to some point it comes to the vitality of the community, because this isn't historic part of the property, part of the community. This isn't Williamsburg, right? This is, these are places where real people live. And to build this house in 2024, people would look at it with radically different eyes than they did in 1954. And so I'm kind of not inclined to hold this hostage to what was okay in 1954, right? It's just kind of what I'm thinking about it, but I get your point completely.
And
Yeah.
resale, I mean, the two-car garage for most families is a kind of a must.
Yeah.
The sad part about this is if these houses aren't remodeled and brought up to speed, nobody's going to buy them. And right now, they're going for a premium price.
Right.
And I mean, when you think about what it takes to upgrade one of these houses, electrical, everything, it's a benefit to the community to keep these houses and allow some of the property dimensions to change a little bit.
Yeah, and I hear you. I'm not sure that's I'm I'm not sure
No,
if
I get
that's our role is to decide whether or not the zoning code is right? And instead see if a variance is necessary for the factors. So but I hear you.
I totally get it. Yep.
One more question. The proposed garage compared to the previous garage, which seems to be still pretty close to the property line.
Mm-hmm.
So is the proposed garage moving closer to the property line?
Slightly, yes.
Yes.
By how much?
Is it fun?
It's 5 feet.
Is it?
It was within code.
So it was within code before.
And you see the roof where it ends right there, yeah.
Yeah.
There it ends, and it probably was. The south side of the house was not in code, but the garage looks like it was. And it was added later. It was not quite as old as the house, and yet it was built not as sturdily, And I wonder if I may add something. I went around the neighborhood just to see, is there other houses that look like they've gotten variances? What did anybody else in my situation, did they have to do something unusual to get a garage or to add on or whatever? And I came up with several addresses and several photos, and this is an example of where two houses are right next to each other, no driveway, and it's the living space of the houses, and it is quite close, and there's several examples. I didn't print them out, I didn't really think I would have to compare to other variances, which I understand everybody is judged on their own specific circumstances. But at the same time, it's worth it.
I can tell some history on both of those houses, because I was on architecture review board when some of those came in.
At least,
And there was some real jockeying around to get the buildable area for the lots, and part of it was in Chagrin, and part of it was in South Oswald. There was so there has been, not necessarily on Fairview, but the next street over, there's been a lot of trading going on to get bigger and bigger houses in these lots.
because they're in demand, people need it for their.
Well, so I just think it's not, it may be unusual, right, for this particular street in this particular location, but in the whole Chagrin Heights neighborhood over there, it's been happening quite often.
Yeah, we've done.
Sure. On the matter of size of the structure in its totality, the garage, mudroom and so forth, Dave, because it's specifically not referenced as needing a variance, I'm assuming that this new structure meets from a square footage standpoint for that size property would meet the code.
It is.
So,
That goes into
It
the
does.
lot coverage, it's
so
it's
from
within a
a
lot
total,
coverage.
total size of everything that's gonna be constructed, it doesn't need variance.
And Dave's been to the house twice, and he had a good grasp of what was needed and seemed to be thinking it wasn't.
I'm sorry, I wasn't
The lot coverage
finished.
is 14% with the garage.
Thank you. I had a train of thought there, sorry. So really, it's just about the 5 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
Anybody else?
That space, adding on, I'm just gonna point to it. This right here,
Yes,
how, is that 5 feet?
Oh, sorry.
no, sorry,
How much is
4
that?
feet, 4 feet.
that's required, right? You said for.
It's a narrow, you need.
You need the stairs for the grade.
For the
3 feet
stairs?
when you walk out the door, yeah.
ADA.
If you remove that and put a door on the north side of the garage, would that meet the requirements? If you removed that, the stairs and the door,
Oh, no, you would still need it, because of the grade, you still can't get into that doorway. The stairs, right now, I've taken the stairs and they're going straight out. I think once we get some of the regrading done in there for the driveway and the garage, that, because we're lifting the drive up a little bit to get to the garage, so that slope out. But that stair may work out better turn or a little bit looser form than that, a little bit more free form, because you can't take that grade down because we end up exposing the foundation to the basement. So you're limited in how far you can go back up.
And you can see the chimney sticking out on the side, and then those other steps in the front that are there and have been since 1954 in the front of the house. Yep, right there. So even if you take that side porch off, which is, I mentioned in my little talk there, you tried to come over 5 feet and make the door of the garage over, I would barely be able to get past it without having that side door, right? That's fine, I don't absolutely have to have that. But there's just no way that you're still gonna make it into that first bay very well. Whereas now you do make it, but you're still going right next to the steps, you know?
Any other questions? Okay. I appreciate it. Seems like you've explored as many different options as you can. I do recognize some of the, limitations and restrictions because of grading and I think John makes a great point in terms of total square footage on the parcel. And I do recognize that what I think is safest is that it is a straight shot up the driveway in and out of the garage, and moving it in a different direction would, I think, create more of a challenge to get in and out. So I'm going to propose a side yard setback area variance of 5 feet from the north property line. Yes. Do you have another question?
I second that, but can I just propose no more than 5 feet?
Yes. I'm going to propose approval for a side yard setback area variance no greater than 5 feet from the north property line.
Clear.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes, please.
Mike Malloy,
Yes.
Lindsay South,
no?
John Buda,
Yes.
Martin O'Toole,
Yes.
Cindy Vacation.
Yes.
Congratulations, you've got your variance.
Granted, the variance thing. Yes, fair enough.
Yeah, good discussion.
Appreciate it.
It was a good discussion.
I've been a naysayer. Like, get kicked out.
That was a very good discussion.
It was.
Okay, next order of business is Agenda 2, BZA Case 24-08. Mr. Stephen Ciceretto, architect and applicant for the property located at 539 East Washington Street, owned by RTB Partners Limited, is seeking approval for the following. A side yard setback area variance of 5 feet from the northeast property line, as applicant shows a proposed addition to be 10 feet from the side yard and per section 5.02 of the South Russell Village zoning code. The minimum side yard setback must be 15 feet and a front yard setback area variance of 36 feet, as applicant shows the proposed addition to be 64 feet from the front yard and per section 5.02 of the South Russell Village zoning code. The minimum front yard setback must be 100 feet. Good evening. Thank you for your patience. You must be Mr. Ciceretto.
I'm Steve Ciceretto, and thanks for hearing this tonight. Probably hate to admit this, but that site plan that you're seeing is from the original conceptual drawing and design drawings that I did for the Park Place office buildings almost 40 years ago. So
So this is about to get more complicated.
So that is a 38-year-old plan actually that when I first did the Park Place office campus, Tom Burns owned the property at 539, which is the front building, and actually merged and purchased the rear property areas that entail the Park Place office campus. So at that time, you could see there was the building in the front, we call it the Chagrin Valley Times building, on to the west of our buildings. That parking, there's a shared complex now of ingress and egress and parking and even sanitary sewer lift station. But saying that, the 539 building originally was actually 2 houses, 2 residential parcels, and before Tom Burns bought it, the center section, which is the 2-story section, was added and made it into the building. They transferred this whole thing into one big office building. And so there you see the center section as it is in the photos. It's a rather long building, so it's a little bit hard to get the whole thing in a shot because of the landscape and such. But so what I think is, you don't have these, but if I could just pass these scenario shots out. Yeah, this slide kind of marked down these ones.
Yeah, I was just Googling it here to try to get a better sense of what's what.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I'm not good at that.
Do you want to share? Are you around?
Do you need it? Do you want that?
Eventually,
Yeah.
thank you.
So, and the reason I wanted to present this is, so the current setbacks from the front yard setback is 100 feet, and the required setback. And this drawing kind of shows, I know it's hard to read in the lighting's not the best in here, but there's a 60-foot right of way on Washington, which is 30 foot on each side of that road basically. And so you could see the 100-foot setback is that red line that kind of marked it, and you could see that actually none of the buildings along Washington Street comply. They're actually set approximately at this 65-foot line where this office building stands. I think Mr. Buddha had recognized early on that it seems a little odd that if the front building is set back currently. So there's a front entrance canopy that's about 58 and a half foot. And so our proposed additions are those areas in red. So the weird thing about it is that the existing building, that's what I call the southeast corner, where it's marked 10 foot, that's actually an existing condition. So the existing building is not in compliance on that side yard. Our proposed addition is actually, you can see is actually 20 foot, 20 foot 6, yes, that is. So the issue is that the existing building is not in compliance. And it likely was 40 years ago, but in this case it's not. So we're actually asking for variance for a condition that already exists. And that's also in the front yard. You know, we're actually further back from Washington Street and the existing building is the canopy. That's 58 feet, 58 and a half, and over 64 feet. So this is a relatively small addition. They're 500 or 600 feet on each side, but it allows the accounting company that has that to stay in the building.
So, I don't need that, I'm sorry. So you're essentially applying for or requesting a variance because the existing footprint is, and I understand that you're doing this addition, but the existing footprint is already non-compliant either from the side yard or the front yard.
Yes.
And your proposed addition
Would be less non-compliant on the side yard.
Yeah.
Right, that's well said.
Got it, thank you, it was well said, okay.
And you wouldn't be encroaching on the drive there on Park Place, correct?
No, we are not. We're not. So we stay kind of in line. So we actually intend to reframe the rear parts of it. So you see right now the ends of the building, and they're sort of the same gable. And so we thought to define the entrances and define it and to kind of set the edges better. We put these gables on to kind of add termination. We had some cupolas and some else just to make it a little
It's nice.
fun.
Much more
Yeah.
attractive.
So, and there's a side elevation that kind of shows what the typical side would look like, a couple dormers. It's only this one-story building, but yes, that's the point. So, and relative to other issues such as the lot coverage was defined a lot differently when we built these than they are now. You know, I think we were at 30% lot coverage on building only or something like that. Now it's kind of a conglomeration of buildings and parking. So it's relatively no impact on lot coverage, but parking is the other item that I also like to bring up and clarify. And so each of the buildings, when taken in composite, and I hopefully this passed along with a synopsis, but the 539 building, so that's this building with the addition, would actually would require 26 spaces. Each of the park, there it is. Each of that's all calculated at one space for 300 for the offices. And so those are the calculations. So the total number of spaces was 120 that's required, and that is actually the number that we have. They're not specifically assigned to each building, but they've kind of taken on this cross easement, the parking easements that have been in place. We actually, since the engineering firm moved out of the 300 Park Place, we have no plans for parking. So in reality, of day-to-day living, the whole east side of the building has mine and my wife's car there. So it's kind of luxury parking. But anyway, the point is that technically we meet the building code, or the zoning code and parking. Even building numbers there. We always left a little play thinking we might add a tweak here or there to the campus, and then it ended up going to the 539 building actually. So in terms of parking, we're good. And with that, got any questions? Glad to answer.
I do, if I may. I was just curious when I was looking at the piece of property, and now I'm gonna get confused on which side it is. But the closest, going towards the Chagrin, towards the newspaper place, the one. I noticed that there were drainage pipes and different things down in that area. How does that affect that draining?
Yeah, that's a very good point. There's actually when buildings were built, the sanitary sewer on Washington Street was actually in place, but it's actually higher than these buildings. So there's those pipes that you see, there's a sanitary lift station at all 5 buildings back in campus. That's at 3 at Park Place, 539, and Chagrin Valley Pine. So they drain into that. But it's much further to the south, to the street. So none of the additions.
Okay, I was just curious on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I did recommend that we kind of revise the front street parking that's there. And sort of if Dolphins has it too, there's a lot of parking along the street, but I thought that by just kind of reorienting to that red lines that you see there, make it a little bit easier. I don't know how people actually pull in, get
People parking with you.
So we'll make it, try to make that a little easier in the process.
Any other questions? Okay. With that, I'm going to propose approval of a side yard setback area variance of 5 feet from the northeast property line. And the approval of a front yard setback area variance of 36 feet from the front right away.
Can I interject, and I don't know if this is normally how you do it, but I think it's preferable to do each one as a separate motion, because there's
Okay.
times where one may pass and the other may not, and
Okay.
you just want to be clear on why that happened.
If you could say no more.
And no more,
No more than.
no more than.
No more than 5 feet.
Gotcha.
For item A, I'm going to propose a side yard setback area variance no more than 5 feet from the northeast property line. And for item B, I'm going to,
I think we're supposed to vote.
I'm sorry.
Hold on the first
That's
one.
okay.
Yes, thank you. Getting ahead of myself. Okay. Second.
I second.
Michael White,
Yes.
Lindsay Self,
Yes.
John Vita,
Yes.
Martin O'Toole,
Yes.
Cindy McKee.
Yes.
I'd love to hear the story of how this was approved once upon a time, but that's a different thing. All right.
Okay, for BZA case 24-08, item B, I'm going to propose the approval of a front yard area variance of 36 feet, no more than 36 feet from the front yard right-of-way.
Discussion.
Are you going to discuss before we second?
Yes, what I'm wondering is if we approve what you've proposed, what does that do for the 58 feet 6 inches that's already existing? Does that then put that outside what we're approving? If we approve I'm not doing the math in my head, effectively the 58 feet, 6 inches. And wouldn't that allow them to go, him to build or them to build this addition within what the existing, what is currently a non-compliance, but would be a compliance? I guess it's just, what distance should we approve the variance for? I don't want to create a situation where, I mean, if we approve a variance for the addition, that's one thing, I guess. I don't know if that's
It supersedes the other.
approvable, or whether we do it for the whole building and say.
So I don't know, and this might be a
Yes,
question
can-
for you, but I don't think you have to approve a variance for the existing building.
No, because it's a part, it's a part.
So
If
this
they
is
were related the only thing, they would need to get another variance.
So then perhaps the proposal, or that we're talking about relates specifically to the, I don't know, what do we want to call it? Southern addition, because they're probably going to have a northern addition. Something to make it specific to that red box, basically. That's my only suggestion. If I've been clear enough.
I understand, I think, I definitely understand what you're saying, but if there was another plan, phase, I know he's noted in here, phase 2, but the application is for this, and this is what we're reviewing.
These drawn.
Can I clarify that? So, yeah, there's actually, what was intended was that the east, so the east addition on the right here facing the building, they're just gonna build that so that they have a place to move while their construction is going on. The second phase is actually that western addition. So I see it as one project. Maybe phasing wasn't even the proper way to say it, but I didn't want someone to, well, we didn't want someone to look at it and say, hey, they built that, but they, it doesn't balance the building or something. So the phase 1 and phase 2 are actually that.
So they're done at the same time.
Basically.
So we are essentially approving a variance at both ends of the,
Yeah.
both ends of the building. And any work, any future work or any additional work would be a different application and a different.
Different drawings.
Yep.
Unless it was in-
Drawings, right?
Unless it was in the back of the building, right? I mean, but if it's in the front, yeah, if they want to do anything else towards the.
Works for me. I suppose that all I have to do is second. Because
I appreciate the clarity though.
Mike Malloy,
Yes.
Lindsay Self,
Yes,
John Judah,
Yes.
Martin O'Toole,
Yes,
Cindy DeChase.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
thanks,
Thank
good
you.
job.
Thanks, Steve. See you tomorrow night.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you, bud.
Clear as mud.
Red.
Minutes are gonna be a mess.
Poor Ruth. The minutes, he said, are gonna be nuts.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
The presentations are getting shorter and shorter.
Okay, item number 3, BZA case 24-09. Police Chief Mike Rizzo, applicant on behalf of the Village of South Russell, is seeking an area variance for an accessory structure to be located at 1228 Bell Road. As applicant shows, the proposed drone vehicle garage height to be at 18 feet, and section 4.02 of the South Russell zoning code provides that the maximum height of accessory structures is 15 feet, requiring a total height variance of 3 feet for the accessory structure. Good evening, Chief Rizzo.
Good evening.
The plans are, I reviewed the plan and I understand, but I'd like to give you the opportunity to explain. And
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough to get a donation for the vehicle that you see in the packet. It's our aviation unit, so we got another kind donation to build a garage for it. So the donor that gave us the vehicle wanted their investment protected. The vehicle is just under 11 feet tall, 10 and some change, and we're requesting it to be a 12-foot garage door, and that's why we need the additional height. So, yeah, we are seeking a variance no greater than 3 feet.
You're smart.
So we didn't have a drone vehicle prior, there's not anywhere else we were storing, I didn't know what a drone vehicle was before
So
this.
basically, we are part of a multi-jurisdictional unit, Valley Enforcement Group, and we are in the Valley. We're a bunch of departments that share resources. So I'm the chief in charge of the aviation unit, and what that is we have drones that are owned by the Valley Enforcement Group. We've got about 9 drones. We've got TV monitors. We do streaming. We've got a satellite. All of that stuff was actually in our commander's personal vehicle before we got this vehicle. So we really never had a vehicle. Veg couldn't afford to purchase another vehicle. They've invested a lot of money into our SWAT team, SWAT vehicles. So they just didn't have the finances to purchase this. So we actually use our personal vehicles to go on these missions. So we search for missing children, missing adults. We go on a variety of calls. We also get called out with our SWAT team. So prior to this vehicle, we had nothing. So we were just using personal vehicles before.
And the drone would then go launch, the purpose of a drone vehicle is that the drone obviously stays in there, but then it launches to and from the vehicle?
So the vehicle is just to store all of our equipment.
Got it.
And that's what we run our command center out of. So we park the vehicle wherever we're called to, and the drones are, deployed out of the vehicle, and we launch them, outside the vehicle. So yeah, it's just a transportation and command vehicle. And that's it. We're just looking for, the approval for the garage to house the vehicle.
And I mean, just point of discussion for the members of the board. If it's 11 feet, how many inches?
Just under 11 feet. It's 10, I think it's 10 and some change.
And it's a 12-foot garage door. So that space between the top of the garage door and the fascia board, roof overhang, is basically the header that supports that. And then, I mean, it's really close to the minimum height for clearance of the vehicle.
And just so it's in the notes, just so it's clear, you didn't get to choose necessarily which vehicle, the vehicle itself was donated to you. So whether or not a different size vehicle exists is irrelevant.
No, we actually got this vehicle based on our commander's plans. He actually researched the vehicles. We found it was the only one available at the time we had the donation available to us. So yeah, there was 3 of the exact same vehicles. We didn't have a variety to choose from.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Any question?
No.
Report? Okay. With that, I will propose the approval of a total height variance no greater than 3 feet for this accessory structure located at 1228 Bell Road.
Second?
Mike Malloy,
Yes.
Lindsay South,
Yes.
John Vito,
Yes.
Martin School,
Yes.
Cindy McPhee.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Are these people still giving away things like? Yeah, we could use a playground because.
Was it a personal donor, private donor?
So the new commander of the drone team, it is family members.
Okay.
So they own some vehicle dealerships down south. And she was kind enough to give us this donation. She knew we were in need of a vehicle, and she came out and the vehicle came, then the addition, so maybe next year we'll have the 2 buildings together. I don't know. Wait and see what Aunt Patty has in store.
That is
That
wonderful.
was great, thank you.
Thank
you.
Appreciate it.
Who knew we had a drone?
See you tomorrow.
I did it.
Do we have any old business?
No.
None?
No.
And any new business?
No.
Okay. With that, I would like to adjourn this meeting. Time is 8:00.
Well,
Somebody second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Cindy. Mike Moore,
Yes.
Nancy South.
yes, yes.
Cindy Mateo.
Yes,
Good, muzzle tough.
Good job.
thank you.
Good job.
Good job, Mike.
Yes.